Stress is real. It happens to everyone, adults and kids alike. It's important to know how to recognize the signs and the healthy steps for managing stress. Joining us for To Your Wellbeing is Dr. Jenna Mendelsohn, licensed clinical psychologist with LeBauer Behavioral Medicine. All right, so we hear all the time the word stress, but what exactly is stress?
Yeah, I think in our current cultural context, stress has a lot of negative associations, but actually the formal definition of the word is pretty neutral. It's any environmental or physical pressure that elicits a response from an organism. And when you think about it that way, it's actually something that's been really necessary and important for adaptation and survival. And in our modern world, some degree of stress is healthy and can help us grow as people and achieve our personal goals.
So then that makes me think that stress is not always bad for you.
Exactly. It's not. Some amount of stress is healthy and normal and just a part of day-to-day life. It's really when it keeps on going at elevated levels for an extended period of time that it can become problematic.
All right, so then let's take a look at some signs that stress is on the negative side impacting your physical health.
Yeah, so stress is a very real physiological response that humans have adapted to have over time. In our early history, that helped us to survive when faced with immediate acute stressors like running from a tiger. Of course, those aren't the kinds of stressors that most of us face currently, but our response can be very similar. And as a result of the physiological basis of that response, we can experience physiological symptoms of stress. Those can include general muscular aches and pains, chest pains, or feeling like your heart is racing, feeling exhausted all the time, or having trouble sleeping, headaches or dizziness, or even shaking. High blood pressure can be the result of stress. Muscle tension or jaw clenching, or even stomach and digestive problems can all be the result of stress.
And those are things that are very common for people to have any and all times. All right, so that's physical. What about mental? What about your mental health and social well-being?
Yeah, so of course there are also emotional symptoms of stress, and that can include being generally more emotional than usual, so being quicker to get angry or quicker to become tearful, though that can be a symptom of excessive stress. Feeling overwhelmed or on edge can be a symptom of stress. Having trouble keeping track of things or remembering things that you need to remember, having trouble focusing, and having trouble getting things done, like having the initiative to start and see things all the way through. Those can all also be symptoms of stress.
All right, so obviously any adult who's watching this goes, okay, I can relate. I got all those things, okay. But does stress show up the same in children as it does in adults?
Many of those symptoms do show up in children, but something that can be a little different among kids is they may not know that what they're experiencing is stress, or they may not have the words to express it. So it can come out a little bit differently, such as in the form of abrupt behavioral changes, children acting extra grouchy or even acting out in an angry or aggressive way can be the result of stress. Children who are avoiding things that they used to enjoy or trying not to do things that they used to easily do, that can also be a sign of stress.
All right, so now that we've kind of like done the whole gamut of what stress can cause mentally and physically, and yes, it can be a good thing, and yes, it can be a bad thing. What are some healthy steps to reduce and manage the stress that's not so healthy?
Yeah, so some healthy things that we could all do to manage stress. Exercise is really, really effective at managing stress. What typically gets recommended is 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. There's some newer research that's come out suggesting that shorter, more intense bursts of exercise, like 10 or 15 minutes, can actually have a comparable benefit. So I tend to recommend just starting where you are and doing what you can. These benefits are so well documented that I think starting some kind of exercise, you can anticipate to feel a little bit better. Also maintaining social support. So I think a lot of times when we get stressed out, we can feel like we don't have time to talk to friends on the phone or arrange to get together, when actually making time for those kinds of activities and connecting with the people we love can be a way to manage our stress and be more effective in our day-to-day lives.
Okay, so those are the healthy ways to deal with stress. How about the unhealthy things that many of us probably do that we should go, oh, okay, let's not do those anymore?
Yeah. Some unhealthy ways at managing stress include, of course, using substances excessively to manage that stressed out feeling. We know alcohol use is up significantly since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. That can actually also include excessive use of caffeine. So people will often feel like they just have so much to get done and they're not going to have the energy to do it all, and can also use caffeine quite a bit, and that can be a sign that stress is excessive. Sometimes too, people will turn to risky behaviors that can put themselves and others in harm's way, like driving really fast on the highway for that dopamine rush, which might relieve stress in the moment, but of course is really dangerous and can have long-term negative impacts.
Cause other kinds of stress. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about when we should be seeking help and what those options look like. That's coming back.